Everybody, and welcome to today's webinar, Winning More Infrastructure Design Work, Rapid 3D Modeling, Visualization, Simulation, and Stakeholder Communication. I'll be your host, Brad Kramer, Applied Software, Director of Sales here, and the presenter for today will be Alex von Svoboda with Autodesk, who is Autodesk Infraworks 360 Product Sales Specialist. This webinar is brought to you by Live Lab Learning, which is a subsidiary of Academic Corp, a wholly owned applied software company created to provide world-class training. Throughout our presentation, we encourage you to interact with us by typing in questions and comments using the questions pane. We will be answering questions at the end of the presentation. The webinar is being recorded and will be available to you online on our YouTube channel. If you haven't already, search Live Lab Learning on Facebook and like our page to receive the latest information and special offers. When you visit our website, livelablearning.com, there's a complete schedule of upcoming training. So with that, just click the slide there. Winning More Infrastructure Design Work. We will present over to Alex, and just a couple questions to think about before we begin this presentation. Are you winning your share of work? Are your competitors presenting their ideas with 3D imagery? Would it help you to shorten the time from design to construction in the stakeholder approval stage? As a Civil 3D user, would you be interested in improving your preliminary design to final design workflow? All these questions will be addressed in today's presentation. And with that, I'd like to turn it over to Alex as he guides you guys through today's presentation. Thanks for joining and viewing today.
Great, thanks, Brad. Hello, everyone. It's Alex von Svoboda. I'm the product specialist for Autodesk for the entire East Coast. I look after just Infraworks 360, and I'm based out of the Manchester, New Hampshire office. So I'm going to take you through a combination of PowerPoint and some live product demonstration. So please, put in your questions in the chat box, and we can either address them at the end, or Brad or Brianna will type some answers in as we go along. So the very first thing I want to talk about is Infraworks 360. It's been out now for a couple years. It's had a couple different names, and it's actually been in two versions. One version that's in the suite. So if you actually own Infrastructure Design Suite Premium or Ultimate, or Building Design Suite Ultimate, you actually got a version of Infraworks which is called Infraworks 360 LT. And it's basically the lighter brother, just like AutoCAD Lite, of Infraworks, that allows you to do certain things, but the main things that it doesn't do is interact with the cloud to do analysis, simulation, or optimization, or collaboration, and it doesn't integrate with any of the design applications. So you'll see that in a moment. So here's a quick chart, just so you know if you're saying, hey, I already have Infraworks. Well, is it Infraworks 360 LT, or is it the full Infraworks? So as you see here, the LT version only goes up to, it does some model analysis, it does a little conceptual design layout, it allows you to do some visualization and things like studies and storyboards. But once the cloud comes in, like Model Builder, to actually build models for you, that's where it doesn't work. You'd have to upgrade from where you are to the 360. And then, of course, the big ones here are really moving to the design function. So we have some vertical applications that sit on top of Infraworks 360, and that's roadway design, bridge design, and drainage design. So they only work with Infraworks 360. So I just want to make sure that is clarified for what you might have and what we're talking about today, which is Infraworks 360. All right. So here's a summary, and when we, as Brad mentioned in the opening here, what this means to you to help you win more work, do a better job collaborating with your customers, your owners, and also the stakeholders. So here's just a quick video to show us how quick it is in Infraworks to create a proposal where we've put in a building pad, we've raised it to a certain elevation. Maybe we're working with a specific architect and we've dropped in a Revit model, or it could be a SketchUp model, or it could be just a CAD model. It doesn't really matter. And then in just a few short minutes here, you see how we've laid out a parking lot. We've put an access road. Every site needs some kind of stormwater detention, so we've got a tool in here to build that as well. And of course, these days, we're all trying to be green and reduce stormwater runoff and contain it within our site. So we do have tools to actually take that stormwater and route it from our parking lot here, and maybe from drainage from the roof and so on, into our pond for containment. And then overall, it's just a quick way to, okay, we're being green here. We want to put some landscaping. Maybe some of that storm water will go there. And a quick outline here to put in some trees around our building, and we can get a model very quickly. All right, so that's how fast it is. It is a real tool to help you do rapid 3D model development, and it's another tool to help not only work with your client, but actually in the approval stage, work with stakeholders that need to approve, and it's a faster way of getting to yes, and from design to construction. And the last point here I want you to remember in this presentation today is that we're introducing for the first time BIM for infrastructure. And that really shows how Infraworks becomes a tool to really to enhance your workflows and to move from conceptual to preliminary design to detailed design, and the workflows with Civil 3D and some of our other products. So with BIM, as you see with the bottom right slide, we're trying to reduce that re-entry of data over and over again that introduces errors and omissions, and that old sawtooth that we see right there. That's what we're trying to change, and Infraworks is that tool to help you do it. So first of all, what is why Infraworks? You know, I've got Civil 3D, it does this stuff. Yes, Civil 3D is a powerful program, and it has a lot of tools in it, and it's very deep. But what we're trying to say is Infraworks 360 is just another tool in your bag that you can use to do something more efficient. So to do these three different proposals of a multi-point intersection, a grade separation, or bridge, or a roundabout may take a few hours or so in Civil 3D to do that, where something like this takes 10 minutes in Infraworks. That's what we're trying to show you. It's just another tool. It's not replacing Civil 3D. It's another tool to enhance the workflow with Civil 3D, to present these in front of your customers and then go to Civil 3D for detailed design. I'll say that again. Detailed design is always done in Civil 3D, as well as we all get paid on construction drawings. Civil 3D does that. But it's also a tool to do better what-if analysis early on. That's part of BIM as well. Whether it's that top slide, you see a left turn, that safety analysis. Can we do that with a stop sign, or do we need other controls to help us because that building is blocking our vision on both sides of the intersection? Or, you know, we need to do analysis for this bridge, and we look at clearance or even sizing of that bridge. Or we want to do stormwater drainage on the road from the curb. We want to analyze how many inlets do we need based on things like spread, the water backing up from the curb, passing through certain inlets, and then sizing the pipe to the outfall. Those are all things that we would do in preliminary design to maybe decide if that project's even feasible or not. And then the best part is, how do we do a better job communicating to the stakeholders? So make sure this project does get approved, we do get the contract, and we get their feedback early and often. This is where a lot of the DOTs really love Infraworks and our city and government clients, because they're all chartered to doing a better job of communicating to stakeholders. All right, so here's the model. Infraworks is a database. In fact, it's not DWG, it's not RVT. It is a pure database that is driven by data. So whether it's Revit data, point cloud data, Civil 3D information, GIS, I'll say that again, GIS, lots of GIS information. That's the power of bringing this in. And then we're using the power of the cloud to build models, to do analysis, to do simulation. All that stuff is in the cloud, and that's part of the BIM process that we're talking about. So this is a great illustration of what the power of the cloud does. So everywhere in that darker blue middle area is where we have access as Autodesk to free data. So we have agreements with Bing OpenStreetMaps to get data. So by highlighting an area here in Central Park, and it doesn't have to be a rectangle, it can be a corridor shape or any other shape, in minutes we can actually get a model that looks like this, that we've got buildings, and we can set certain variables to randomize the facades on the buildings, randomize the rooftops, but more importantly, we're getting the water, we're getting the roads, we're getting the buildings, we're getting all that data directly right from the Infraworks cloud model. And that then is enhanced. It's a great place to start, but what we're always saying is you can enhance that model. If you already have survey data from Civil 3D with a surface, you could bring that in. Maybe you've got some FEMA flood data and you want to bring that in. That's just a part of your GIS, or it's road data, or maybe it's aerial photography, and all those things can be added to your model to make it more realistic. And that's the power of what we can do. We can always add to it. When I say add to it, we can even add to it from other places, like bringing in SketchUp models that might be iconic bridges or the Capitol building. A lot of that stuff is free and available on the SketchUp warehouse. You can bring that in. We can even bring our competitors from Bentley, or we can bring point clouds using the recap tools that we have with your suite. But the best part is really the two red boxes that you see up top. Civil 3D, we have a bi-directional communication with Infraworks and Civil 3D, that if you take your preliminary design done in Civil 3D, move it to Civil 3D and do detailed design, then the owner wants to see what you've done, you can go back and show them what you've done, and just by pushing a button and having the updated model develop in Infraworks. Same thing with Revit. You can bring a model in, say, from an architect of a footprint of a building. If you link it that way and there's an update from the architect, you don't have to re-import it. It just will update just by hitting the update button. So some very powerful things. We've got some of our customers like HNTB here doing the model of Chicago, where they've brought in extensive terrestrial and mobile LiDAR point cloud models, and they use that as part of their Infraworks model to make sure the accuracy is as best as it can be. But this is what's really cool about Infraworks, is that it understands our other products. So we're in a site model of Chicago here with HNTB. They've removed some older warehouses here. Now they've got a model of a health center that it's in Revit. They drop it into the site so you can actually see it. We like to say that it's in there in the context of what is. So we see all the surrounding buildings, and better yet, we can walk around it, and we can even go inside of it. And this is the power of going and understanding our products. That's Revit. We can go up to the second floor. We can look around. We can do shadow studies to see where this building will cast a shadow on the existing buildings around. Maybe that's a problem. We could even see the daylight inside of the building, where you can see right here the shadows casted through the windows. That might be something we want to look at. So lots of power with other products. So let me just stop here for a second, and I'm going to escape out of this because we're working live here today. And here's a model. I'm in Infraworks. So hopefully you'll see this in a second here, now that I've switched over to Infraworks directly. So I'm looking at a model that I have here of Providence, Rhode Island. Notice the Infraworks buttons up on the top here. So this is something one of our customers, Rhode Island DOT, provided us, and they've enhanced. They wanted to create, well, Rhode Island's not a big state, but as you know, what we got here is a very realistic image of the model that they actually worked with a company called Pictometry, which has, you see their logo down in the bottom right-hand corner. We have a script file that actually you can take their what's called their oblique 3D imagery and map it to the buildings. So we really get some amazing, not just massing diagrams, we get some realistically looking buildings that we can move around, we can adjust, and do things in and start building our site here very quickly. So you can actually see there, one building down there is the Providence Journal. It must be a paper or something like that. But this is the power of creating city models or a model that you're working on. So maybe it's just the fact that we're working over here. So you can actually see on this side, we were working with a client, and if I pan around here, this is on this side here, we had a client that was interested in a new development right here. So you can see where we've dropped in our model and put a parking lot and trees right in the exact same model itself. So that's what's so important here with creating a model that looks this realistic. But it's this easy. If I go back home and I want to do what's called Model Builder, I pick Model Builder, and all I have to do is put in, say, an address like Atlanta, and it finds on the list, and I'll put something here like applied to or something like that. And here's the model that we have. If we were zooming around this area here, you can see I can get real close, and then this is 45 square kilometers in this area. Now I know there's that airport over there. If I want to zoom in, I think applied, you're somewhere around this area here, North Druid right there. And I can just go and say if I want to, let's go, if I want to create a window or a corridor, I can do that. Or I can just say create the model. So this is called applied to, and currently on my email, it looks like it's about 1250. I hit close here, and I close this off at a 1250. See, I created one earlier today, but I'm going to get a notification from the cloud when it's gone up there and found data from, as I mentioned, all these different places. If I go back to Model Builder here again, you can see we have these different sources. So the roads are coming from OpenStreetMaps, railway data sets. The buildings are coming from OpenStreetMaps data sets. The imagery is coming from Bing, Microsoft Bing Maps, draped over the terrain. And the elevation is coming from the USGS, 10-meter grids that we've accessed, and we've got agreements that you can use this data and share this data. So that's the power of what we're doing. So while we're waiting here, again, we've gone about 1 minute here. I'm actually going to get an email very quickly that says my model is done. And let's go back to our PowerPoint in the meantime, and you'll see here that these are the three different verticals: roadway, bridge, and drainage. If I go into them, roadway is a quick and easy way that you can go and create templates, put in your cut and fill slopes, and have it analyze where the road is. Again, customize, use the templates we have, or customize any of them, build your own templates. You can create profiles and put in your PDIs. Again, all this stuff is pretty easy to use. If you see the icons at the top, it's very simple. People typically pick this up in just a couple days. Notice we have all the AASHTO speed tables. As I move my PIs around, it's adjusting. I can put the radius in, and we're building this in, and we're moving in profile. And as we move that road up there, here we're going to add another PVI. It's automatically cleaned up with the intersection there. So you can see that we have the choice of working in the model. We have the choice of working in profile. It's the easiest ways to work. And that goes the same way once you've done those road layouts, is to work on the intersections and say, hey, quickly I'm going to go put in my curb returns based on a single unit 30 truck, or I can put in a roundabout, or many different things. But I can also analyze for safety. There's that tree in the way. If we're doing a stop sign, that would be no problem. If we do a yield, that would be a problem. So the goal here is to analyze things early and often. Now here's what I was explaining before is here's our different options. Say we're sitting in front of our customer and we're showing them the different options. There's just a standard intersection. We can create another option in Infraworks. Remember, we're still in the same model. We're just creating options or views, and now we have a roundabout. And the third one, we might show the customer, hey, what's it look like to have a bridge? So again, very simple. We go in, we pick the road that's kind of going from left and right. We move in the model, we drop the PVI. Infraworks knows right away that there's a grade separation here, and you can see that. But now we want to actually put in a bridge. So we go over to our bridge module and just click bridge. Our default here is a precast concrete girder. We lay it out, and it's that simple in preliminary design to show a customer those three options. That's real power here of Infraworks directly. One of the other things in roads is to do things like traffic simulation. So here's where we're analyzing. This is the power of being inside of a model at the same time we're doing analysis. Notice this over here. We've got an average delay of 72 seconds in a queue of 250 meters. So what we're going to say is, hey, what happens if I put a turning lane here? So I quickly can add a turning lane, or if there's signals, I can actually adjust the signalization. And this is part of the traffic vertical application that we have here. So now we run the simulation with the turning lane, we reanalyze it. The light blue is good. Now the average delay is 0 seconds, Q is 0 meters. So this is how quick we can analyze different things without leaving the model. All right, but the power here is to move from preliminary design to Civil 3D, do detailed design in Civil 3D, then go back to Infraworks to show the customer. And here's a great way to do that. So you can see here, we've taken we're in Civil 3D, we're dropping in the Infraworks model, we're making some adjustments, we bring it back to show the customer here, and we show the customer says, hey, that's pretty good, but I need a few more curves in this. We go back to Civil 3D, we put those in, and now we go through and build that out. So that's the workflow. Now, before that, I'm just going to go back here. Notice here, if I go back to my live version of Infraworks, there's my Applied To. It actually buzzed me. It was like probably 3 minutes ago. It took maybe 3 minutes. So this is what I get here. Now I'm going to download this. So right now, Applied To is in the cloud. I'm actually going through and downloading this now to my local computer. So you can see in real time here what we're doing. You can see the percentage it's going through, opening Applied To, and bringing that to my computer. So we're not working in the cloud. We're only using the cloud for the heavy lifting, analysis, model building, simulation, all that kind of stuff is done in the cloud. Everything still comes down, like Infraworks still resides on your machine here, on your desktop, or maybe you've saved the model to your server. That's fine too. But you can also move your model to the cloud if you want to share it with others, or bring it out to get stakeholder feedback. So you can see it's building and bringing the model down to my machine here. So while it's finishing that, I'm going to jump back over to bridge design. So apologize for jumping around here, but I want to make this kind of interactive. Here's bridge. So it allows you to create two kinds of bridges: precast concrete precast girders or steel plate beams. So it's just as simple as this. We're building a road to join, for whatever reason, this upper parking lot to this lower parking lot here, and we put in a road. Now we just tell it, hey, let's go and put a bridge, and we put the bridge, and now it's smart. It knows how to connect it. It's built the abutments, which you can play around with and change, or you can turn any of these piers, as you see here, and things will, the actual precast concrete girders will size up. If we take that one in the middle, look what happened. You see it actually sized up to a more realistic size. We haven't gone into for construction yet, but now we just told it, hey, we have a clearance envelope that trucks need to get under here. We want to make sure we can get up in the top corner here. We're seeing our concrete and steel, and then the client says, let's see what that looks like in a variable steel plate. So it's that fast to change things around when you're doing a model like this. So you can see here, we really have taken bridge to the next level. We can specify exactly here on our abutments and put in all the dynamic dimensions as you see it expanding and changing as I'm moving these dimensions here and putting in with the haunch there. And you can customize all your own types of girders. So you can see here the ones. And then eventually when you've got your precast concrete girders to where you want it, the best part of this is now we can send it up to the cloud to analyze it. And it does two things. It'll size it and do code compliance. We'll get a full report on this with all of our detailed information to make sure that that does work. So that's the power of bridge. The last module is drainage. So drainage here, you can see here, what we want to do is calculate any spot on this road. See this road in yellow on the screen? And what we said, let's go and do an analysis. Where would this come through? Where would I intersect the road? And where the push pins are, where do I need to put a culvert? So we want to calculate the Qs by rational or regression methods, size our culverts, and then move on to storm drainage. So you can see here in this video where we've done that. We found the intersection where the drainage area to the low point. We've now gone into the culvert design. Just like the bridge or just like our other products, you'll always get a PDF with the full report. So once we've put our culverts in there, now it's time, if we have an urban section, to actually build out our stormwater drainage on this road. So with this, you can see here by, take my meeting off here, you can see here, we're putting in the different content. You know, what size is it? All this content is completely compatible with Civil 3D. What's my minimum cover? You know, what's my slopes? All this tool. Now, once we've done it, it's built it out for us so we can see the manholes, we can see the inlets right there. And now we see with some manholes in the sidewalk, well, we can go right back into the defaults and move that offset over. And now it's in the middle of the lane. So we can create these models now that we can, all this piping is completely compatible with Civil 3D. We can take it over and do detailed design, or this is where we show our customer this type of stuff. So that's the drainage design. One other thing in drainage that's interesting right now, it's what's called a free preview, is the ability to do flood water analysis, so risk. And that's what this Project Boulder is the ability to take your Infraworks model that you've created. Here's a road that we're analyzing, and actually compute the flow, put in the flow, uniform or non-uniform flow in and out, and now see where, based on a certain type of flooding event, you know, is this a 25-year storm, or maybe it's that 1,000-year storm like in South Carolina, we're seeing the water extent or how deep it is in blue, or the last one here, you can see the velocity of the water in different shades of green or yellow or orange. So once again, what we're trying to do is give you tools while you're in preliminary design to do this kind of analysis. So let me escape back out of here and back to my live model that I created just for you, and there it is. So this is what we created. This is called Apply To, and notice when we've created this model here, we've got some pretty good GIS here in the North Atlanta area. most of the houses are actually in 3D, which is unusual. We don't see that a lot, but that's pretty good here when we see this kind of information. If I go and pan over here and touch the top of this, this is called the Lenox Square Mall. If I look at this, Buckhead Tower, and this one over here is the JW Marriott. So we can actually get information about some of the buildings we have here, if it's available. It depends how good the GIS was put in, or even the road. So this is Kingsborough Road Northeast. If I move over there, just hover over some of these, Roxborough Road. So very quickly and easy, we've created a model in less than 10 minutes here that I downloaded onto my local machine that I now can zoom around. This looks like a fancy club here. I'm not sure if it has information attached to it, but it looks pretty good. And now I can really walk through with my client, spin this around, and look at certain aspects of the model that maybe we want to do. So I'm going to jump back out just because the fact that I did my applied one, and to save time because we don't have a lot of time on this webcast, I'm going to bring this up and show you a couple things I already created. So one of the options in Infraworks, so this is pretty much the same area that I was just in. There's those towers and the shopping mall, all that area that I was just looking at. Right there's the shopping mall and the towers. But we can create what's called bookmarks. And if I hit a bookmark, I actually saved one for a certain area that looks like this. And in this bookmark, say we're developing the area, the land in this particular area here. So one of the options we can do here in Infraworks is, if we're going here, we can create, see how easy it is to pull down these menus? They're not very difficult at all. If I want to do what's called a coverage, and I want to say I'm going to do this green one, and I'm going to look at this property, just say right in here, it's going to start, let's say, we're going to start at this corner here, and I'm going to put something up to here, and I'm actually going to go on the road. The roads always take precedence. So if I go on top of the roads still go through, and maybe we're going to come out to this point here, and a point over here, and a point over to here, and to this corner of this property. Again, what I'm doing is just outlining an area that maybe I'm interested in developing as a client. So for a client here. So here's that area that I just put as a coverage. Now, one thing with that coverage, if I edit that coverage, and you'll see here, this is where we got, let's say edit, pick that, and I can raise it up and down if I want to. I can even shape the terrain. So actually it'll go, and if I click on this, there's the elevation. If I want to adjust it up and down, I can do that. Right now, just by shaping it, I've kind of flattened it out in some extent, that the first thing I might want to do here is say, all right, let's go take a look at some of our, what we call terrain statistics. So with this here, we got terrain themes. We've got, let's go and find our terrain statistics right here. And it's very simple. I'm only looking for the disturbed earth. So if I just do a quick boundary like this around this here and here and here, and just make sure I get this point here to a point here and to a point here, I can quickly go and see, well, this one here, let's see if we didn't move anything up and down. Let's go back here and click on this and edit. I didn't move it here. There, I'm going to go and, well, turn it this way, and let's just bring that up to a few feet, to 877 or something like that, and hit enter, and it raised that. Now if I go back, that'll cause some disturbance right there. If I go back in terrain statistics here and do the same thing very quickly here. like that. So this just will show, yeah, there we go. We've now got some different volume right there. We move things around, so we're getting some values. In the same sense here, I can always go through and do terrain themes. So one of the options we have here is to do elevation, or we can do slope analysis. So if I just do new theme, we did elevation analysis, and it's divided up between 769 to over 1100. Maybe I want to see 10 increments of that, and I'll just hit enter, and notice my model is giving me the ranges that we see here. If I click on that for some reason and I want to look at, just quickly go over to slope in the same way, and maybe it's 0 to 20%, and one of the coverages I like is the slope palette down here, and I say this, I can quickly see everything in those ranges on slope. So all these are all tools that you can have. I'm going to delete all these right here that you can play around with in the model itself. But we're going to come back into this area that we have here. One of the options, so I created basically a general area that we can that we're interested in there. If I was to look at this property up here, maybe we're doing something in this area. One of the other options I have here is doing a coverage, or what's called a land area. If I go to land area, and maybe I just wanted to brown talus, and same sort of thing, if I was going to put a building pad, something like this, and I'm just sketching out, and you could always import the exact shape of that building pad. There's the building pad here. Now, just like we did with the other, we could raise it or lower. I'm going to get rid of this right now, and this palette on the side here. And what we're going to do is get our style palette. And now notice here with we've got our, if I go to coverage here, let's see, grading is what I want to get here. So we can get to grading. So right now, if I raise or lower this building pad, you can see right here, it'll actually pull the existing ground up, and we can get a volume. Or if I drop it, same sort of thing. I can bring it down like there. But one of the options we can do is put in a, let's say, a grass slope to it. So there's a pretty big slope to it. Obviously, that's way too, if we escape out, you can actually see how low that might be there. And if I go back onto editing this again, and let's bring this higher, it's still in a cut. Maybe I want to put a rock wall, or if I put a rock wall and just drag it onto my site, you can see here, now I have a rock wall. So it's that easy to move and get volumes or test things directly. If I were to back this up again, if I were to pick this, I hit this, and if I go and just bring this up again, I can play around and see where my slopes are. Maybe, one of these slopes is getting too close. I'll bring that back. Notice how the slope here, if I brought this out here, what would happen? It's showing me exactly on my pad area. So that's one way of doing this. The other way is to go and, let's say our site really quickly, we're going to go into the roads module, and in the roads module we have a tool to lay out some local roads, and I just want to show you how easy. I'm just going to do something here where I'm going to come from this road here. Notice how we have all the speed tables here. So I'm coming in here, I've got things maybe set, and I get to a point here, and to a point here, and now I'm going to do a big arc and come into this road here, and boom, we've got this a little high up, so it doesn't matter. I can do two things. I can work in profile, or I can work directly like that, where you can see I clean that up, Same sort of thing. Bring that down where it's intersecting. And you see, oh, not far enough. And you see how it's built that in. So this is I'm going to convert this to a design road, because right now it's a GIS road. So if I take this, we move it back up here again, and we've got this road here. And now it's, we'll move this just into place. So I'm going to show you how we can do it either in, notice how with Infraworks, depending on what view you're in, it'll actually give you the tools to either be working in vertical or in horizontal here. So you can see that directly. So we're going to come back and move this one. So we're in the roads module here. And if I go back to this one right here, we have, let's see, do we have this as a design road? Convert to design road here. Same thing. Now it's a little low here. I'm going to bring this back up here. There we go. See, so here's my intersection. And now once I have it as design, you see the lane markers got in here. I can come into this point here and say, hey, I got to make sure that a single unit 30 can go around here, or a single unit 40 can go around here. I can design all that, or I can actually put in things like a turning lane. So you see how fast that is as I'm building this around. And there we go. So very easy. If I go over to the other side here, and what I want to show you is the ability to, again, I'm going to spin this around and put in two things here. So I'm going to do one more local road, and I'm going to come from this point here, and we're going to turn this way. Let's say we're turning this way, and we're coming here, and we're going to go across over to here. I'm just going to end it there for now, and there we go. And my point. Put another point in for a curve there. Okay, so we'll just end it here. Maybe we're going to finish this off later, but the point here is I wanted to show you this intersection here. We can put in, one of the other options is to put in a roundabout. So how easy is that? These are very complicated things to do. Now notice how Infraworks is smart. It actually created a bridge for me. So it knows that it just crossed over a river, and if I pick on this bridge, it's used the default bridge right there. I can play around with my abutments and move them a little further back if I want to have like a bike trail or something underneath. Or I want to show the clearance envelope that we go and make sure we want to have like 15 feet of clearance there. I hit enter. And I pick on this and I say update the vertical profile, and there we go. We now have a clearance where we put this in and built out the bridge that we have. So I can change this to many different styles or whatever, but I just wanted to show you how smart Infraworks is to recognize that and how quick we can build things here. So we're getting close to the end of our time. What I wanted to do is just jump over, because I actually created some of these things ahead of time. We're in the master model, but if I go into watershed, this is what I did earlier. I did a similar road here, and I actually went through, so you can see here, a similar road, and have it sized. So you can see when I said create watershed, I picked my road right here and said create the watershed that intersects that new road of mine. And you can actually see it computed where the tributaries are coming in here and where we had to put two culverts. So the first one here, you can see it helped us design this culvert right here. I pick on it right there. There's all my culvert information. It's a single circular. The one I did over here, which you can see here, hopefully easy enough, is a double barrel, and that one is a box. So these are the tools you can do to help calculate the drainage area and then go and size that culvert directly. So also here, we're in the watershed proposal, so we have other tools as well. I'll go back to, let's go here to our roadway, and just to save time here, I've actually went through and created, and it's so simple here in the time that we have here, I can put in things like buildings, drop my Revit building in, or here I put a church, and I think this is a, again, this is some kind of coffee place here. I put in traffic lights, and I've gone through and added a pond right here, and I put some more, maybe here we're going to put some, we go here, there's some set of trees over there. I can put in more city furniture and buildings. It's really easy. If I were to put a building in here, like maybe there's a post office or something, we just want to go here, and it's going to be in this area right here, and we drop it in, and we can rotate it around, like if I grab that arrow good enough, like that, and move it along, and then move it back maybe a bit to here. Notice how the shadow studies is interesting too. We can see the shadow. At any point in time, I can always go to sun and sky and change the wind direction or the cloud cover, or we're actually around this timeline right here, close enough. And what time of day? So you can see here as I adjust this, what time of day. And if I get out of this, again, I'm just doing all this live in front of you. There's our post office that we did there. And we could put in a parking lot. And of course, we better put in a little bit of, we've got our tools here. Very easy to use. I wanted to show if we had that a row of trees, maybe there was something like this to here, to here, to here. It's simple like this, especially for the landscape architects. Pick the type of tree you want. Maybe it's something this easy. We pick one of these guys here and escape out of that. And you can specify how dense you want this. You want it more dense, and you can actually go how high you want this, like that. So the last thing is, before we take questions, we want to go and, I wanted to do one other thing before we do this, and that is if I go into stormwater, same thing, just to save some time, I took a very similar tool here, and we created the, if you look carefully here, we've created the inlets and the stormwater manholes, and we've created a pipe network underneath the road. So if you can see this, there's the pipe network. All this can be created in the drainage module, as you see here. So if I go back to where I was, and back to my roadway here, we put all these nice trees here, and we've got our post office. The one thing we want to do is create a storyboard. So with a storyboard creator, it's so simple. One of the options, you can do circular, you can do orbit, or you can just go and say, pick the road, the design road I want, and I'm going to pick that one right there. It'll go and build the storyboard for you. All right, there, it's done it. And if I go while I'm here, and I'm over in roads, and I go and say, all right, let's go and play that storyboard. I'll kind of move it out of the way, and we'll say play. There's our road, and we can set the speed that we want to go. We're going by that post office that we put in there just now. And then your client might say, okay, well, this looks pretty good. I like this. We're actually going to go through the roundabout here, right through the middle. But the client might say, you know what? We're going to have fun with this. We're going to go and change this road to having a boulevard. So I don't have to get out. I'm still in the storyboard creator. I just dropped that template right onto my screen, and guess what I got? there we go. We now have a boulevard, and we're crashing through the middle of those trees, and we're coming up to the end of our intersection here where we have those stoplights. But it's that easy. If we were to run it again, and there's the start, if I want to say, well, that's a little too much, I really just wanted a single road with lights, that's easy. It's showing your client what you want to do very quickly. All right, so, and then any of this, if you notice on the bottom here, you can create an AVI that you can give, or you can push the whole model to the cloud and share it with a URL. So that's the tools I have here. If I stop this and we go back, I'm going to get it out of Infraworks. These are the tools we have to create those visualizations like this with the water, changing the sun, the time of day, time of year like this to share with others in the model. So you can see here one of our clients, Parsons Springerhoff. There's the time of day. We can look at this very quickly and easily. And then the nice part, we looked at the design creator, so that's easy to do. And then we can push it out. We have a free iPad app with Infraworks 360 you can download. Or if you don't have an iPad, it doesn't matter. We can just send it out to a URL so others can look at it. So it's just so much easier to explain design intent when you're doing something like this versus 2D, because we've all been in this situation. We're doing a town hall meeting or showing this type of stuff, and nobody understands a thing, or it's hard to explain any of this directly. So we have lots of tools to push it out to the web, allow people to go and click on these. If you push it to a browser, you can put all these little markers we call bookmarks, so they could pick them and they could see images, or even, you can add music to it, panoramas. So they pick it and they can pan around that street corner if they wanted to. And then I'm going to go through here, and here's a couple projects. This is one of our customers up here in the Boston area, VHB. You can see here they did a bridge in Middlebury, Vermont. They got the imagery to make the town, which is a very historic town, very real, and looks. And obviously, they won the work, which is so important. One of our customers in Florida, winning work by using Infraworks Coastal Engineering, and up here again in Portland, Maine. Here's a customer actually using it to do. This city is under a consent decree to eliminate their CSO, combined sewer overflow. So they're actually modeling all the sewers, the sewer, gas, and water underground to figure out where they can actually place these used vaults to store the overflow water when they have a storm event. So last thing before I turn it over to Brad is we have a great site at autodesk.com/products/Infraworks 360 overview. We have a community site that you can see what other customers are doing with a gallery, a knowledge network, tools to help you use the product, case studies, and always ongoing webcasts, very similar to what Applied is doing here today. So please check that out. So with that, I'm going to turn it back over to Brad, and we can close it off. Any questions?
Hey, thanks, Alex. That was awesome. Yeah, I got a couple questions here. First question, for transportation design, we use competitive products for DOT work. How does Infraworks work with other design tools in the design process?
Okay, so first thing you saw on that one slide that I had, we can always import in DGN files. That's a direct import into Infraworks. Now, if you want project information from other products, then if you need, one of the bundle options we have with Infraworks is to include a one-year term of Civil 3D. We actually have what's called a data translator, so we can bring in GeoPack or inroads data directly from those products with all the alignment information, all the template information, all that, translate it to Civil 3D. And once it's in Civil 3D, then we can move it into Infraworks. We're actually going to make that directly into Infraworks very soon, but right now you have to go through Civil 3D to get any of that detailed information. But you don't need to if you just want to bring in the DGN.
Great. And just the second question was how the software is licensed.
Okay, great question. So the software is licensed as what we call a term named user license. So it's sold by 1 year. In fact, it's actually sold if you want to, and this is great for a lot of our customers who have interns in the summer and they just want to get a 3-month license, a quarterly license, you can get that. Or you can get 1 or 2 or 3 years. Now, you have to assign a username to it. So somebody in your firm would be the administrator, and they would have rights. So you could assign that license to Joe in the morning, and to Pete in the afternoon if you want, and then Sally the next day if you want. You can move it around as a named user. You can work from home. You can install Infraworks on as many computers as you want because you're logging in anywhere, off-site, in the hotel, at home, doesn't matter.
Okay, great. Well, I think that's all the questions. I don't see any popping in here. Let me just double check. Okay, well, I think that's it. If anybody's got any other questions, feel free to reach out to me. My email address is right there on the screen, bkramer@asti.com, and I just want to again thank Alex for doing kind of a overview of Infraworks 360 for our customers today. Appreciate it.
Thanks, Brad.
Thanks, everybody.